The rain-slicked streets of Chicago gleamed under the sodium lights as Caroline slammed her apartment door shut. The echo ricocheting like a gunshot in the empty hallway. "God damn it," she muttered. Her voice cracking. Fists clenched so tight her nails dug into her palms. The metallic tang of blood mixed with the stale coffee breath she'd been nursing all night in the ER. Another kid lost, 8 years old. Hit by a drunk driver. She could still hear the mother's wail. Raw and unending. Slicing through the sterile hum of machines. Caroline slid down the wall. Knees buckling. The weight of it all crashing over her like a wave she couldn't outrun. That's when Julia appeared in the doorway. Her silhouette soft against the dim kitchen light. "Car? Honey?" Her voice was a whisper. Laced with that Midwestern warmth that always cut through the noise. Julia, with her paint-splattered overalls and that eternal optimism, knelt beside her. The faint scent of turpentine and lavender shampoo wrapping around Caroline like a lifeline. "Talk to me." But Caroline couldn't. Not yet. The maw of despair yawned wide. Pulling her in, the endless shifts at Northwestern Memorial. The faces blurring into one endless parade of pain. She was 32. A trauma surgeon who'd clawed her way through med school on grit and Red Bull. Only to feel like she was drowning in blood and regret. Lesbian or not. Love had always taken a back seat to her career. Until Julia crashed into her life 2 years ago at a gallery opening in Wicker Park. Julia, the 29-year-old abstract painter whose canvases burst with color and chaos, had smiled at her across the room. And suddenly, the world had edges again. Now, in the dead of night, Julia pulled Caroline into her arms. Their bodies fitting like puzzle pieces. Caroline's sobs came in ragged bursts, muffled against Julia's shoulder. I can't keep doing this," she gasped. The words tasting like ash. Julia held her tighter. Fingers tracing slow circles on her back. The rhythm steady as a heartbeat. "You don't have to do it alone," Julia murmured. Her breath warm against Caroline's ear. The apartment creaked softly around them, the distant rumble of the L train. The drip of the faucet they'd meant to fix. Small sounds that grounded her, pulling her back from the brink. Morning broke with a hesitant sun filtering through the blinds, casting golden slats across the rumpled bed where they'd ended up. Tangled in sheets that smelled of sweat and solace. Caroline woke first. Her eyes puffy. Head throbbing. Julia stirred beside her. That smile already tugging at her lips even in sleep. God. That smile, it was like sunlight piercing storm clouds. Disarming and pure. Caroline traced Julia's jawline with a fingertip. Marveling at how this woman, with her wild creativity and unyielding heart, had become her anchor. But the day ahead loomed. Caroline dragged herself to the kitchen. The coffee maker gurgling like an old friend. Julia followed, wrapping her arms around Caroline from behind, chin resting on her shoulder. "Last night was rough," Julia said softly, her voice carrying the faint lilt of her Ohio upbringing. "But you're the strongest person I know. Remember that kid last month? The one with the skateboarding accident? You saved him. You saved so many." Caroline turned, cupping Julia's face, their foreheads touching. "What if I'm not enough? What if I break?" The question hung in the air. Heavy with unspoken fears, the isolation of being out in a field where vulnerability was a liability. The lingering shadows of her conservative family's disapproval when she'd come out at 25. Julia's eyes, hazel and fierce, locked onto hers. "Then I'll pick up the pieces. We're in this together. Car. You and me against the world." The tension built that afternoon. Caroline's phone buzzed incessantly, another shift. Another emergency. She paced the living room, the hardwood floors creaking under her sneakers. Julia sat cross-legged on the couch, sketching idly. But her pencil paused. "You're shutting me out again," Julia said, her tone edged with hurt. It was the maw opening wider, their fights always started like this. Small cracks widening into chasms. Caroline whirled around. "You don't get it. You paint pretty pictures while I watch people die." The words flew out, sharp as scalpels. And Julia flinched, her face paling. Silence descended, thick and suffocating. Julia stood, tears glistening. "Is that what you think? That my world is easy? I pour my soul into those pretty pictures because it's how I process the crap we all face. Including loving someone who's always one step from the edge." Her voice broke on the last word. A soft hitch that pierced Caroline deeper than any argument. Julia grabbed her coat. The door clicking shut behind her with a finality that echoed in Caroline's chest. Panic surged. Caroline bolted after her. the Chicago wind whipping her hair as she caught Julia on the sidewalk. Amid the bustle of Michigan Avenue shoppers. Julia. Wait. She grabbed her arm, spinning her around. Faces blurred around them, tourists snapping photos of the bean. The distant honk of taxis. I'm sorry. I'm so damn scared. Of losing you. Of losing myself. Julia's eyes searched hers. The hurt raw but softening. Then let me in. Really in. They walked then, hand in hand, through Millennium Park. The autumn leaves crunching underfoot like whispered secrets. The air carried the crisp bite of fall, mingled with hot dog vendors' smoky scents. Caroline opened up. Words tumbling out, the guilt over patience. The isolation. The way Julia's love terrified her because it felt too good to be true. Julia listened, squeezing her hand, sharing her own fears, the gallery rejections, the doubt that her art mattered. The way Caroline's absences left her feeling adrift. As dusk fell, they sat on a bench overlooking the lake, the water lapping gently against the shore. Julia turned to Caroline, that smile breaking through like dawn. We don't have to be perfect. Just us. Caroline leaned in, their lips meeting in a kiss that tasted of salt and promise, soft at first, then deepening with the urgency of two souls clinging amid the storm. Back home, the apartment felt warmer, the shadows less daunting. Caroline called in sick for the first time in years. And they cooked dinner together, pasta bubbling on the stove. Laughter filling the air as Julia splattered sauce on Caroline's nose. That night? In bed, Caroline whispered. Your smile. It pulls me back every time. Julia traced patterns on her skin. The touch electric. And I'll keep smiling. As long as you keep fighting. Months blurred into a rhythm. Caroline sought therapy. Learning to set boundaries at work. Julia's latest exhibit sold out. Her abstracts capturing the raw emotion of resilience. Their love deepened. Not in grand gestures. But in quiet moments, shared coffees at dawn. Walks along the lakefront. The way Julia's hand fit perfectly in hers. One evening, as snow dusted the city, Caroline knelt in their living room. A small box in hand. Julia. You've saved me more times than I can count. Marry me? Julia's eyes widened. That smile blooming full and radiant. Yes, she breathed, pulling Caroline up into an embrace that felt like coming home. In the end, it wasn't about never breaking, it was about having someone to mend the cracks. And in Julia's smile, Caroline found her forever edge. Not to fall from, but to stand upon. Stronger together.